I got mad last night because Kombucha Girl, aka Brittany Broski, single-handedly, well, she's not the only one that thinks like this, but she attributed the use of AAVE to, she was questioned on her use of AAVE, I'm assuming in her skits and whatnot. A lot of people have said that she's been using it. I don't watch her content, so I wouldn't know about that, but when she was questioned about it, she said, you know, this generation, this is just how we talk. This is how everybody online talks. This is what we do on Twitter. These are the words that we've created to express ourselves. And so, yeah, I didn't know the words that my grandma was using, and her grandma before her, and her mother before her. I didn't know these were. I know Stan Twitter speak. I'm gonna respond first to some of the videos, her responses.
First of all, I appreciate this comment. Second of all, I want to address it. I have lived all across the southeastern
As have I.
United States. I've lived all over Texas. I've lived in Virginia, Georgia. The way that I speak is not by accident. For anyone who follows me and knows me, you know that, especially because of how outspoken I am about Black Lives Matter, I would never imitate or mock Black people and Black culture. What do I have to gain from that? I would never do that on purpose. I have a Southern family. I have Southern roots. This is how we all talk. This is how me and my friends talk to each other. I am never coming from a place.
So my family too has Southern roots, and I currently live in the South. And from this video, her speaking, she sounds Southern. She doesn't sound like a Black Southern person, but she does sound Southern. She said this is just how we talk, but the way you're talking now, I can't imagine is the type of, you know, speaking that this person is referring to in the question. Also, I think I should note, generally, even in the South, white people and Black people do not speak the same. Some of the, I mean, Southern people have their own dialect, you know, but Black people, we still have, you know, some things that we say, our own grammar, you know, vernacular that a white woman or Billy Bob Joe might not use. So I don't think this is a good defense. So the video that got everybody, or at least the one that kind of went viral, was this one.
You know,
oops.
Also, regarding my last two videos, I feel like it's a very fine line between genuinely calling out a creator that's using AAVE or the Black Scent for like putting it on for comedic purposes versus like quoting something. You know what I mean? Like the Nicki Minaj thing of big boobs. Child, anyways, like that's a meme, obviously. So when someone's quoting that, or when someone says like period, cis, whatever, snatch, all that, it's very much like internet culture, like Stan Twitter, like Stan culture has its own language, and it's such a fine line between like
AAVE's language.
Make these friends online, and that's how you speak within these online communities, and then, you know, as a creator versus just a normal person on Twitter, saying it out loud as you would with your friends, it's very different. When it's kind of like collectively as a generation, this is how we all, if you're on the internet, this is kind of how we all speak. Also,
I don't understand really what she was trying to say in that last part. It didn't make sense to me. I don't know what she was trying to say, and I've watched it a few times. Fact of the matter is, AAVE has been bastardized. Yes, I said bastardized by Stan Twitter, and you know what, not even, well, yeah, general Stan Twitter. There are Black people, you know, in every space, but generally non-Black people have taken AAVE and turned it, well, actually, they haven't turned it into anything. It's indistinguishable. They use it incorrectly a lot of times because it is in dialect with its own rules. And I saw people were getting upset about this, right? And I saw some tweets, some responses under the tweet of the person complaining about it, saying, oh, so now we're gatekeeping words now, yada, yada, yada. Some people were defending her. But general consensus was that you, as a white woman, cannot... I don't even know what she was trying to do, honestly. I don't know. You cannot take AAVE. You cannot separate it from Black people. Time and time again, society takes Black cultural artifacts is the word I want to use. It's a strange word, but whether it be, you know, our style, hairstyles, speech, continually it is used to ridicule us, to ostracize us, and then later it is upheld when a white person does it. And people, when Black viewers or content creators bring up this fact that it is performative and it's not, they feel uncomfortable with it, people, the burden is basically put on us as Black people to just be happy that people are partaking in our culture, and just forget the past, forget the fact that Black women still today are being ostracized in the workplace, discriminated against for their hair, for our hair. But people, you know, in positions of power can parade around in our hairstyles and be praised as innovative, creative. They'll even take the original name away from a style. They'll rename it something completely different. On Black people, it is not viewed the same way. And you can't take the people, when we're talking about cultural appropriation and these words, you cannot just separate history from now. Like, the past does matter. There's a reason people are upset about it. Maybe in a perfect world where this power dynamic didn't exist, Black people might even be flattered, maybe in an alternate universe, by people running around with our hairstyles and lingo and all these things. Maybe it would be flattering, but it's not, because our existence is political, and therefore, I'm not saying it should be, but it always has been. Therefore, everything we create, everything we do, all our culture is political. It's charged with all types of history, and we can't just ignore it because you decided that you liked it. And so, you know, I like it, I'm partaking in these things. Clearly I'm not racist, so it's fine. I don't know what you want me to do about it. It sounds like you guys just need to get over it. That is the rhetoric that surrounds so many of these conversations. I'm sorry, I'm not used to talking to a camera, so I feel like I'm not being very eloquent or getting my points across, but bear with me. I hope I'm making sense. As a Black person on the internet, online, existing in the world, America, I've grown up feeling uncomfortable, either maybe for the way my hair looks, for the way I speak around certain people, the way I act. Been very hyper aware of it. And I can recall times where I've been watching television, or I've just been viewing something on social media, and a non-Black person was doing these things and they're being celebrated for it. And it's this very weird, especially as a young child, this weird dissonance, is that the word I want to use, going on in my brain about how I should be moving through this world, because society oftentimes made me feel it is not okay to be authentically just Black, like myself, like code switching. I was taught, not expressively, like none of my family told me that I had to, you know, police the way that I exist in one group versus another, but it's very natural when you're around a group of your own peers. You act a certain way, you may speak a certain way, but in this other group, in this instance, white spaces, because this power dynamic does exist, you're aware of the connotations that society places on your culture and everything that goes along with that. And so you may put on your white voice so that you're seen as more professional. People do it. Darker skinned Black people do it so that they're seen as less threatening. And all of these things, these dynamics, are tied to our culture, the words that we speak. So when we have all these culture vultures come in, swoop in, take what they please, ignoring all the history and ignoring the people that are telling you, it makes them uncomfortable. It's not okay. No one on Korean stan Twitter, like K-pop Twitter, no one would throw in these random Korean words with, you know, in an English sentence, and would throw in these random Korean words and claim that it is theirs, claim that, oh, this is just how we talk on, you know, K-pop stan Twitter, this is kind of just what we do. No, these words, no, this didn't exist anywhere else. This is ours, this is our culture. But you know, it's not. No one would do that. That sounds stupid. AAVE it's a dialect. In the video, Brittany said, you know, it's stan language. And so in the way that she's using language, it already is its own thing, which is why it is very obvious when someone doesn't know, someone's being performative. You cannot say Finagana. That doesn't make sense. I can't think of any other examples because I know the rules intrinsically, and so I can't even come up with a grammatically incorrect sentence in that using AAVE because I know better. I don't know how you jumped from, I don't know. But it's not yours. It's essentially what I'm saying. There's a difference between cultural appropriation and a cultural appreciation, but it's not even the conversation we're having here. This is clearly just cultural appropriation. This is why everybody was so upset at Aquafina. You know, she was really Black and ghetto until she wasn't, until she had made it. You use it at your convenience. No one in your life speaks like this. You don't speak like this at home. You don't speak like this around your friends. Only when you get online and want to be performative and funny and seem interesting do you do this, and that is a problem. Anyway, I was gonna make this last night. I was very heated. Oh, yeah, I wanted to touch on also, my bad, I just remembered. AAVE stems from slavery. There are different theories into how it truly formed, like in relation to African cultures and what the slaves brought over and how they intermingled. But it undeniably stems from slavery. Like much of African American culture is rooted in slavery. It's not rooted in Africa. We were stolen from Africa and we forgot many things. Some things were brought from Africa, but African American culture is different from many cultures in Africa. It's its own individual thing. It is rooted in oppression and struggle. And we cannot ignore that when we're having these conversations. But people like to act like it was so long ago that Black people were murdered for presenting as Black, for being Black. We're still being murdered. The Civil Rights Movement was not too long ago. The Civil Rights Movement is happening now. I'm referring to the Civil Rights Movement that they briefly touch on in schools. It's still happening. it's so strange, it's bizarre to live in a world where all these BLM protests are going on, when we're seeing black people gunned down in the streets unfairly. But then we have conversations like this, and all of a sudden nobody can make the connect, nobody understands. Brittany, she has Black Lives Matter in her in her Twitter bio and everything. Like I said, I don't know this girl. I'm sure she isn't a bad person. Yeah, you messed up. Also, looking at some of the responses too, it was a very much a I'm still learning, I'm still growing, which is true. Everybody has the right to do that. But for some reason, the air of it was very non-committal. She didn't seem remorseful about what she'd done. It was pretty casual. Even in one of the responses, I think she used the term blown out of context. Within the context, you said what you said. The sentence was the sentence. I think on her throwaway TikTok is where I found it. Lost my marbles again. I don't know. Someone said stan Twitter, stan culture, stan language, or whatever is not AAVE. I wasn't sure exactly what it said, but she said, first of all, this isn't what I said in terms to what the person said. Not that you can really go back and fact check what she said because she deleted those. But even after people have really uploaded them on Twitter and whatnot, and even after watching the videos, that sounds like what you said to me. I watched it a few times. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know what the message was supposed to be. Usually when you're responding to something or you're apologizing, you would usually say, no, this is not what I said. I said this is what I meant. She didn't do that. She just said this isn't what I said, and all the other stuff is gone. So maybe if you weren't paying attention to this entire situation, you just assume that's not what she said. That's what I heard. That's what I read. But yeah, that's the video. I guess I'm gonna leave everybody with a nice and concise do better.